What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Claru.
And this is Daredevil. We're back. Week 2, episode 3. It's time.
Hell yeah.
Hell's Kitchen is in turmoil. Because the Daredevil probably
like
just killed 2 cops.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. That doesn't help.
Yeah. That's not great, Matthew. You're going to feel really bad about this because you're Catholic. And that guilt. I only know about it from Daredevil comics and my high school experience. But
yeah,
crazy stuff.
I can't relate personally.
Yeah, you've never done anything Catholic, right?
No.
Brendan, please bleep that.
You might have to bleep that one out. Sorry,
No.
that was a little bit too soon. No. I had one friend whose family went to church. I don't even know if it was Catholic church, but if I wanted to have a sleepover on Saturday nights, we would have to obviously do church on Sunday mornings.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I went to Catholic high school, even though I'm not Catholic, and that was an experience. Let's dive in. If you want that full length reaction, go to patreon.com/nerdynightly. But if you don't, stay here, because you're already here, and this video is about to begin.
Resistance is hurting you with traditional voters.
Apparently, he won a special election, and so there might be another election in the near future for him. That's what a YouTube comment said. And so the voters thing matters because he didn't win a traditional election. He won a special election.
Oh, I guess I missed that.
Yeah, I did too.
You don't want to do this.
Yeah, that was violent.
That crunch.
I mean, they don't know it's Daredevil.
They don't. No, of course they don't.
You're gonna see that beach again, Hector. I promise. And you'll be reunited with your family.
That's a bold promise, Matt. That's a big...
I mean, yeah, well...
So that must have been post-fight. Matt looks like he's handling it pretty well. I don't think he killed anybody.
I mean, paralyzed maybe. That guy landed on his neck.
Here's the thing about being Daredevil. You only feel really bad if they die.
Okay.
Yeah, but any level of bodily harm is kind of the same to Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean,
as long as they
tried to kill him and they lived, so
yeah,
it seems like
I'm not saying it's a world I necessarily agree with, but based on some of the things Matt's done to people's skulls, necks, backs, legs.
I mean, it's also a crooked cop who was going to like kill somebody to cover up that he was attacking somebody and his partner.
NYPD.
Yeah. And what a
jokes
time.
I wouldn't make if I was living in New York City still.
Yeah, someone will find you.
Yeah.
We'll have to be careful when we visit.
I'm always careful with the NYPD.
And, wallets while you're at it.
I'm really concerned that he's showing his face to them.
Mm-hmm.
Silly wee bastard.
Yeah. No face coverings.
Yeah.
Inspire Chief Gallo to make it a priority.
Yeah, we can try.
Vanessa.
Without you or me there, they'll turn on each other.
Oh.
That kind of violence, petty blood feuds, none of it is our concern.
She's pissed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize she stepped back. I thought the whole thing was that she was going to keep running shit while he was mayor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because, what happens without them to...
No Daredevil, no
control.
Kingpin?
Yeah, right? What happens when they're left to their own devices?
Where's Tom Holland? Where's Mike Coulter? Luke Cage? Sweet Christmas.
Witness tampering is a serious offense. Now maybe you get lucky and the DA only slaps you with a misdemeanor. But I doubt it.
You have to explain why you were there.
Yeah, exactly.
He seems really okay for how hard he hit his head. We're really going on the Punisher thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not your man. And this is just for me to get you on the stand without sweating and puking.
Relax. I got you.
Very questionable.
I'm told you have a black eye. I hope everything is okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
You know, there's this thing they say in boxing, the best cure for a black eye is fast hands.
Objection.
Sustained. Come on.
You ever met a man named Nicky Torres?
I never heard of him.
It's curious, because as I understand it, Nicky Torres is a confidential informant. Used to work with the NYPD. In fact, used to work with you and Officer Shanahan directly. Officer Powell, did you and Officer Shanahan have an arranged meeting with Nicky Torres on the platform that night?
I told you I don't know him.
Yeah, you did say that.
Torres cannot testify.
All right.
Interesting.
What's with the tattoos?
So they're making a commentary on how real world cops think the Punisher rocks, even though in the Marvel Comics universe, the Punisher hates police officers who like him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It is a meta commentary on...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I was on the
Cops
right
who
page.
idolize the Punisher because he can break the rules, even though he hates cops who break the rules and feels like if cops could be honorable, there wouldn't be a need for a Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did they find him? I mean, I guess he's Matt's guy, right?
We love Matt's guy.
Yeah. Well, no, I know his name's Cherry, but...
Oh, wow. I'm so nervous.
I'm so worried for Cherry.
Yeah.
Here's the tough thing. If they kill Nikki while Cherry's driving there, that's a real...
Just another second, Your Honor.
He's not in there.
No.
You can't...
Morning, officer.
Get out of the van, asshole.
The guy to arrest him. There's no way he's back there.
No.
Cherry's too smart for this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Got you, you dumb shithead.
Yep. Fuck you.
Oh.
It is so suspicious. Yeah. Yeah.
They're here.
Oh, thank God.
And by help out, you mean become a confidential informant? Yeah.
Yeah.
Previously, you stated pretty clearly that you were actually at the 168th Street subway station being beaten
When Hector Ayala intervened to save your life.
Objection.
With great risk put himself in
Objection.
harm's way, didn't he?
Isn't that true?
Counsel, stand down.
Withdraw the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Torres, you are dismissed.
I mean, you still proven that the other cop lied under oath.
No. No,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
He
No,
said
'cause-
I'd never heard of Nicky Torres.
Yeah, but
And Nicky Torres
he didn't
said...
establish that Nicky Torres was his confidential informant. He just established that he was a confidential informant.
Yeah, okay.
And he had to withdraw the whole witness because the statement did not line up with the story that he was telling. So that area of New York, though, just get some camera somewhere that shows that he went in or out of the station.
Yeah. How many cameras are on that block?
1.8. I like the sound of that.
Are you out of your mind? I don't work for the mayor. I work for the man.
We hope the jury see him the way we do.
We're gonna need a lot more bourbon.
I mean, bourbon always helps. I do agree with that choice. I'm down for more bourbon.
I sent Buck to Luca to tell him to pay Victor 1.8 restitution for the hijacking.
She's the man.
Oh, interesting.
Is that what it is? Chaos before a stronger peace? Or is it my penance for what I did?
No.
I mean, if he can be the mayor that brings down significant gangs...
Oh, Rico case it up? Yeah.
I was going there to put the flowers there for the next day.
Because you wanted to surprise your wife.
That's so sad.
Mr. Ayala, yes or no? Are you the vigilante known as the White Tiger?
Objection. Objection, Your Honor.
Yes or no?
That's a bold move.
Matt, you might have just sunk yourself.
Both of you, in my chambers.
He's like, fuck, I don't know, man.
Put me in quite a bind, Mr. Murdoch.
I didn't mean to disrespect the court, Your Honor.
Let me be clear.
I didn't mean to. But I did intentionally.
You're not going to be able to stumble into traffic court without one of them up your ass. I hope it was worth it.
Wow. What a move.
Yeah.
I don't know if pissing off the DA and the court and the judge. I don't know if that's the best play.
It's a choice.
You know, Hector, if you are acquitted, your white tiger days are over. I mean, you know that, right? You can't.
Oh, that's why you did that.
It's a nice side effect.
It's a calling. I didn't choose it. It chose me.
I think Matt understands that.
And for what it's worth, I think you might be surprised at how much you don't miss being him.
Based on what lived experience, Matthew?
All of these tell a different version of the same story, and it isn't the story of a man who has a vendetta against the police.
That's a fucking great play.
Why would he do this without the amulet? It gives him extraordinary strength and power. Would any of you walk into battle with one arm tied behind your back? I wouldn't. So ask yourselves, does this sound like the type of man who would murder a police officer?
Just attack police officers, yeah.
Yeah.
Is a man of integrity. The community says so. The police say so.
The police reports help.
Mm-hmm. It's the strongest part of this play, honestly.
Yeah.
All of us, we're messy, complicated, capable of good, capable of evil.
It's a weak argument because then you're implying that cops can also lie.
Exactly.
When you have 200,000 pounds of steel slam into you, all of your bones break.
Objection relevance?
I think you're allowed to say this in closing statements, right?
Sure.
You don't actually die until they back the train up, and then your body...
He can't make an argument about motive or intent, so he has to just be graphic and try and get an emotional response out of the jury.
If Hector's sole intent was to do good for his community, why is he hiding? Because the last time I checked, real heroes don't need to hide.
He could have made a stronger closing argument by not fracturing it into like 3 different arguments, but it's not terrible.
Yeah. I think it's more of a kind of jarring distraction kind of closing. Yeah.
Hit it from a few different angles because it's a hard argument to... Even just Nikki Torres being like, yeah, I am a confidential informant makes the cops' testimony a little weird. And
yeah. Like, if I
It was
didn't
withdrawn,
know...
but, you know, the jury, you can never fully withdraw a concept, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those... I always find these, like, legal cases on television to be so interesting because I try and, like, put myself in the shoes of, like, not knowing what the show wants me to know and only knowing what the jury knows.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, in this case, like, I'm like, yeah, man, like, that cop's, there's something funky going on over there.
But there's also more anti-cop bias in our world than, you know, especially right now.
On the count of murder in the second degree, the jury finds the defendant not guilty.
Okay.
First degree, the jury finds the defendant not guilty.
Oh! Oh, damn!
Okay.
Wow. Okay. He's just got to stay alive now. Him and his family.
Yeah, I would leave New York.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd get the deposit back on your place. You can buy a much nicer place anywhere else in the world for the same amount of money.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've heard Puerto Rico. Fuck, I've never been. Heard it's fucking gorgeous.
I mean, he says beautiful.
Your friend, the journalist BB.
All due respect, sir. We have people at the Times.
Tell her I want to see her again.
Absolutely.
What are you gonna do? An episode of The Daily with Michael Barbaro? I'd listen to him at 2 times speed.
For an office bottle of O'Melvin's. Only broke it open when we won.
I've never had that bottle.
Oh.
Once in a while. System works.
As long as you lie to the judge and then break your own rules.
May God hold them all in the hollow of his hand.
It's a good cheers.
Courts fail. Juries get it wrong. I should know.
Wild. No. Hector, give it a month. You know what I mean? Like, wait until...
These vigilantes are a threat to any society.
I'm amazed he's allowed to keep the amulet that gives him superpowers.
Does he have any grounds to steal your property?
I get the Sokovia Accords are abolished by now.
He's probably...
About to get shot?
No.
And the acquittal of Hector Ayala demands that I keep it.
Going on the record, no fucking way.
Oh.
Frank.
Yeah, going on record and being like, yeah, I, as the mayor, ordered a murder of a man in the streets is a wild thing to do. In fact, I hired a vigilante to take out a vigilante.
I don't think that Frank will work for... Oh, I don't think that he would work for Kingpin.
Yeah, it's got to be fake, right?
I don't know.
But why, if it showed the camera, it's not like it showed someone on the street, like
the camera,
like us. It showed the audience.
Yeah, but it's everything. They show everything except his face.
That's what I mean. What is the point of hiring?
So that it's a mystery and we don't know until we know.
No. I mean, if it's not him.
Yes.
What is the point in putting that symbol on?
Because the show is showing the show is clearly making this point about cops who revere the Punisher, right?
Yeah.
And so dressing as the Punisher to go kill the man who killed your partner, being a copycat Punisher, I'm fairly certain I have read that exact comic book.
You think it's his partner who did it? Okay.
Or the cop that said the cop that had the neck tattoo that said like Nikki can't take the stand. I could see him being a copycat. I could see this show drawing Frank and Matt into a conflict around the idea that Frank is doing this, but it actually be a copycat and that's like a reveal and that. Because the amount they're leaning on the cops being so involved in the Punisher movement leads me to believe that the reason why Frank Castle ends up being a part of the show will be tied to him being, just because they've done it in the comics recently, directly antagonistic towards police who revere him.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It is a point that the comics have tried to make over and over again in recent runs. And so I do think that they're
like, guys, we can only say this so many times. It's not for you.
Well, there's that, but it's also just interesting, right? I think that it's not just that they're trying to clear something up, which is what it's sometimes accused of. I think it is also the natural conversation about the Punisher to have given the modern landscape and the way we talk about policing now and the satire of policing that Frank Castle was always meant to be. I think it's just sort of the natural evolution of that conversation. And as police have increasingly militarized not just their mindsets, but also just their capabilities and their armaments, right? We've gotten to this place where a significant amount of tax dollars are being spent on wildly unnecessary police military utility, right? Yeah. There was that story in Edmonton of them buying like 6 sniper rifles or some shit
or
like
that. Or like a tank or something.
Yeah.
Something dumb. Like.
And you're like, why are we spending this money?
Yeah.
And I get that it's because, there are genuine ideas on some people's parts that are that if we have a more dangerous police force, we are going to be safer. I do think that people genuinely hold that belief, right? And I think that there is safety that certain people feel in a heavily militarized police force. On the flip side of that, it doesn't statistically make people safer by any method. Like no one can produce any form of study that proves that makes people safer. And the police having access to more lethal weapons just gives them different ways to kill people, but it doesn't actually give them ways to de-escalate better.
Yeah.
And so that we just kind of know it doesn't work. And yet, over and over and over again, we are seeing local and state authorities cater to this idea that we need to have these militaries running our streets. And I it's just not an idea that I necessarily agree with. And I am not as like vehemently anti-cop as people who share other political opinions I do have, right?
I'm not anti-cop. Yeah.
I am certainly anti,
corruption.
Well, and I am anti the sorts of police contracts that we currently have that lead to a system where holding police accountable for their actions. I don't want there to be a system of punishment, but I do think that the ability to hold people accountable for actions that do fall outside the norm should exist.
I do also think that, like, the amount of schooling that lawyers have to go through to practice the law.
Yeah.
That cops who uphold the law should maybe not do quite as much, but certainly longer than like a year or less in some cases.
No, cops in the States don't have a year of training.
Isn't it like 8 months, 9 months?
Some of them have weeks. Like, I think like some places it's like 6 weeks.
And this gets... I think that might be a problem.
Yeah. And this is where the problem is, right? Is that you have a undereducated police force with an excessive amount of
power.
Well, and just like technology and force now, with contracts that leave them in a position where it is quite difficult to adjudicate whether or not their behavior was good or bad, right? Yep. Where it is hard for people who act slightly outside the lines to be punished by their superiors in any way. And so it is easy for their behavior, those who have negative behavior, it is easier for them to escalate to far worse behaviors because it is hard to lay boundaries on them when they begin to step out of line because the system is designed to protect them. And in some ways, there is reasons why that is great, right? And I don't completely not understand that. But clearly American policing has a problem. I think that it is undeniable at this point that there is a lack of education at the very least. And there's a significant gap between American cops and the rest of the world, where far more educated cops and people. I mean, there are countries where you have to have a degree to be a police officer, right?
Which I think is pretty fucking reasonable.
It's not tenable in the States. There's too many people. Smaller countries are more easily able to pull that off.
Sure, but I think that, like, if you have jobs that are absolutely and utterly necessary for society to function as it does, then maybe instead of the money going towards a tank, the money can go towards educating the people that uphold the law.
Yeah, right. But then you get into who's educating them, and a lot of the programs that are soaking up a lot of those dollars are... They're warrior-minded projects that they create. There are a lot of police education things happening in the States that lean into the idea of the police as soldiers, as they're fighting a war on crime. And American language does this a lot, right? You end up in these conversations where it's like, well, we're fighting a war on drugs, and it's like, well, no, you're not. Like, drugs don't fight back. Like the drugs themselves. The war on terror at least kind of was a war because there was an organization on the other side of it. The war on drugs is a war on most people at some level. You know what I mean? Like the number of people who are tied to some kind of drug in the States because of marijuana being, the same level of drug as heroin. The number of Americans who have done a little bit of weed at some point in their life is so high that the war on drugs is nonsense. But by framing it as a war, you have this mindset change. There's a lot of great, pieces on this, and I'm certainly not. I'm not trying to say that I have intellectual thoughts on this that are new or novel. I'm regurgitating people far smarter than myself, but I think that criticism of the police being an integral part of this show right now is a way for it to differentiate itself from the original Netflix series. I do think that it is. I really like the writing of the law case in this, and I think that I was criticizing the defensive argument. For the closing arguments, but also I thought it was a good one. I just thought
we were like, what
stronger.
Choice does he have really? Like honestly, based on what we've seen of this case. Yeah.
At the same time, I thought that it was really well written, which was the thing that I was missing in She-Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Where I thought that the
law stuff was not well handled.
It just didn't make it never made any sense.
Yeah.
And it made Jennifer look like she was the worst lawyer on the show.
Yeah.
Although, Matt looked great on that show because Jennifer was so bad. But here, I felt like it was a really actually well fought case between both sides.
For sure.
And
no, it was interesting. It had me on edge. Like I wasn't sure what was gonna happen.
And it's fun because the tactic that allows Matt to win is also the tactic that is going to lead to him having complications in the future with the DA's office. I really, one of the things about the end that's really fun to me is because of that interview with Kingpin. On the one hand, it is going to look like he was somehow, if not directly involved in, at the very least condoning what happened to Hector. And that could backfire him in a way where Frank, if it is actually Frank that did it, because of the interview, Frank could become a real problem for Kingpin very fast. And for a show where, let's be real, I don't think that Kingpin and Daredevil will be in the same room more than twice the rest of the season.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Simply because when they are in the same room, something huge has to happen, and you can't do that every episode.
Yeah.
And so using Frank as a way for Kingpin to involve himself physically in an altercation with a vigilante without it having to be Matt it would be a really smart move, I think, on the show. And so I like the way they're handling this right now. I think the show is very smart and is playing out in a way that I really enjoy the writing. I think it's tight and it is intelligent. I think that it's very emotional in ways that are working for me. And when it is funny, I think the show is comedically delivering.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. And part of this kind of experiment of me not watching the other seasons was to see if like how much of the previous Daredevil show how much would go over my head if they were leaning heavily on things that they had previously set up. And so far, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, there's the one line in this episode where Kingpin talks about being mistreated by the legal system in the past, but even that it's not specific enough. Yeah.
You can infer a lot from that. Yeah. And so I have to say I'm pretty happy with this, and it the show so far has made me want to go back and rewatch previous seasons, which I think should kind of be the point of something like this. It is adjacent to, it's not just Daredevil season 4, right? It is Daredevil Born Again. So it feels connected, but also a little bit its own thing. And I think that they've so far had a really good balance for me. I feel like I know what's going on. I'm not missing out on swaths of information.
Yeah.
And so I gotta say I'm really happy with this whole experience so far.
Can I say the one thing that I think was questionable in the writing in this episode?
Yes, of course.
Having the cop pull Cherry over, who is the cop that testified.
Cop? Yeah. They were like, we don't have another actor.
I don't think it's an actor thing. I think that it was intentional to make it really clear for the audience. And I think that's why they moved on from it.
Yeah.
But in the real world, if that cop had been found arresting because he did it on an actual NYPD vehicle.
Yes.
And Cherry is a wildly respected veteran of the NYPD. Mm-hmm. If the cop that had been on the stand is the one that intercepts the star witness of this and books him whatever.
That looks bad.
Would have been a disaster for him. And so it was one of those things where there's so many because there was already a cop in the courtroom who was in on it.
Yeah.
Having that cop be the one that pulls him over would have been a fucking disaster for the prosecution.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I wonder
I think it was to shorthand the show for the audience to understand what the stakes are.
Sure. Yeah, okay. I can see that.
But yeah, I was like, are you stupid? Are you the dumbest cop ever? You're gonna go stop the CI that is a CI from coming to the court case? What? Just have another cop pull him over so that it's convenient and not intentional. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, bad luck.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Hector got off, but then Hector's dead.
And then died. Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
You've gotta wonder
should have left New York.
You couldn't take a week off.
I know. Because that they had to wait until he put the suit on. They couldn't just murder Hector in the streets,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He has to be in the suit. That's what matters.
And he's not bulletproof.
Yeah.
It is also wild to me to think that, like, 165 blocks south of this, Doctor Strange is just, like, chilling. Like, opening portals and shit. Wong is, like, making tea. Now that this Daredevil is in the MCU, I can't help but be like, yeah,
What the
like...
fuck is Doctor Strange doing?
Doctor Strange is just...
Doctor Strange needs to fix New York.
He's fucking dealing with Dormammu.
No,
He's
we
dealing
did that
with
already.
magic from the dark... No, he left with Clea at the end of that one movie, remember?
Oh my
Him and Clea are fighting some dark dimension shit.
Yeah.
He's... Look, Steve is busy.
Look, if Benedict Cumberbatch shows up in their show, I will be very happy.
If he does, though, it would be so weird.
I know. They can't. It would, it would be weird. It would be weird.
The Sorcerer Supreme.
No, yeah. But this was very fun.
I would love it, though. I would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you liked the video, like, subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave me comments down below because the algorithm goddess hungry and we must feed her. This episode, that algorithm goddess is...
Vanessa.
I was going to say Hector's wife.
Oh, and, like, daughter, I think? Yeah. Niece. Thank you. Yes. I was like, yeah. But that's, yeah.
I do,
Which one of them is taking the uniform?
Oh, definitely the niece. It's always the next generation.
Yeah.
It's very rare in comics for, like, the spouse to then pick up the amulet and become a superhero. I'm surprised the murderer didn't take the amulet. That amulet gives you superpowers.
Yeah.
The show is being very flippant about the fact that he has an amulet that gives you superpowers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, great show. I'm really liking it so far. And
yeah.
I think there's 9 episodes, so I think we're a third of the way through. And honestly, very in. If you want to follow us on the internet, you can. I'm at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
Do something nerdy tonight. Bye.
Bye.